Hey all, welcome to this week's video. I know I called them by week and I haven't done very many, and well, life, as I've explained, has gotten a little complex. But I did get a request for a topic, so I figured I'd kick that one out. It's from a man named Victor Segrito. He says, hey, please do a topic if you don't mind. What was your childhood like before you were diagnosed, and what do you remember that you did different than any other kids' early stages? Well, that one is unfortunately easier for me than others, not because I remember a lot, but because I don't. I didn't have not a bad childhood. I wouldn't call it bad, but I didn't have a great childhood, and I was bouncing between two homes. Child of divorced parents. My mother's crazy. My dad was, like I said, for dad, he made a really great attorney. I was emotionally abandoned by my father for a number of years, starting at the age of 12. It really kicked in at the age of 14 when we got into a fist fight. Um, let's see, my stepdad tolerated me to be with my mother. He honestly couldn't wait for me to get the hell out of the house, and that was for 14 years of my life. So when you ask, gee, what was different than other kids, you're assuming that the most different thing that was going on was the Asperger's, and maybe it was, but when you have a broken home and you're one of the few kids who grew up in the area, but then there's other kids that have grown up. It was very weird. It seemed either I grew up with people who had moved into the area, or people that had been there since forever and a day, who were the minority. Most people had actually moved in from other states, uh, but very few had actually. Had been like me, had grown up here, but family had moved in. My parents moved here just about 6 months before I was born. My dad taking a job with a law firm up here just after college, and uh, what was different? I was always different. I never felt like I fit in. I didn't understand a lot of things. I'll say that I didn't understand why people want to have kids, or why families were good, or why people were praying to the invisible people in the sky. Okay, you did it, but I didn't understand why, and it was confusing. I get picked on. I wouldn't know why. After second grade, life got a lot harder. Probably the Asperger's, maybe other things like my learning disability, and um, I just didn't like it. What I remember before I was diagnosed. Now you talk about, well, my childhood before I was diagnosed, but the truth is that because I was diagnosed at 23. It's essentially my first 23 years. Where had I known that I had Asperger's when I was young, I would have gone to a different college. I wouldn't have enrolled in the military, aside from the fact that the military wouldn't have taken me having Asperger's. Um, I wouldn't have gone to culinary school. I might have gone and embraced the sciences. I don't know what I would have done. It would have been very different. I know that looking back, it was definitely living a life uninformed by the biggest elephant in the room. That there was always something there that I couldn't see it, and because I couldn't see it, I didn't know it was there. Life simply didn't work, and I didn't know why. I didn't have my first serious girlfriend until I was in my mid-20s. Although I didn't lose my virginity until I was 18. I thought about dating in middle school and high school, but I just could never get it to work, and I couldn't understand how you could go on a date. It didn't help that I didn't have the ability to go anywhere. So I didn't think about, oh, take my parents. Date was something you did by yourself. That was something to me. So until I was 16 and I had a car, I didn't even think about that as a possibility. From the age of 12 on, I lived someplace that was a mile and a half from the closest bus station, with a bunch of people that had all grown up around each other and knew each other, and I was the stranger and the new one. So I don't know. It was kind of rough. It was unpleasant, and I really hope my daughter is due in about, well, 2.5 months. Yeah, about 2.5 months, and I really hope she doesn't have what I had. I really hope she's free and clear of Asperger's syndrome. Um, let's see. Growing up, I didn't know what I wanted to be. I went to college because you did that. In elementary school, I was suspended often. In middle school, I was suspended often. I was in a lot of fights from about second grade to about ninth grade. Um, for those not in America, elementary school is kindergarten, say 5, up to sixth grade, which is about 12. Middle school is 7th and 8th grade, say 12 to 14. High school is ninth through 12th grade, which is 14 to 18. So it's not the same throughout all of America. There's junior high schools and there's this and that. But that's where I was. I went to I moved multiple times, and that was something that didn't help. That I moved approximately every 2 years from the time I was born until the time I was 12, and I didn't move again for 5 years. And well, 6 years. When I was 18, I moved. I left. I went out of state to college. After the military, I went out of state. There's a whole story in the military as to why I didn't last very long. Not my fault. Don't go in the military when you don't know you have a blood sugar disorder and it causes you to go psychotic. But I never established roots. I never had a sense of community. The only constant in my life was the SCA, but at the same time I was hating it because I'd start baseball and I'd go do baseball and I'd like, oh yeah, Little League. And then my parents say, "I'm sorry, games this weekend. We're going to an event and you have to come." So I'd miss that. I hated being forced to go places when I didn't want to go places. Going to the SCA was socializing. I didn't want to socialize. I was being forced in my mind to go do things that I wanted to do nothing with. My stepmother dragged me to a church. I got dragged to, my dad would drag me to temple. My mom and my stepdad would drag me to the SCA. And the only one that I kept was the SCA, probably because I started fighting in armor. So that's that. Now, I really need to apologize that this video hasn't been kicked out sooner. At the very beginning of September, I was involved in a workplace accident where I took a metal pipe to the very top of my head. It caused a 5-inch gash. Well, almost caused a 5-inch gash. 5-inch really hard mark and big lump. I was knocked completely out. I woke up in excruciating pain and screaming, realizing that I was the one screaming. That was at my work doing delivery. And then, Tama, dear. And then I was struck on the head by a freight elevator, and I was almost knocked out. So I've been suffering that. I may have post-concussion syndrome, so things may be a little slow here for a while. And I'm sorry. I hope that answers the question. The too long didn't read was, I didn't particularly like my childhood. I don't particularly remember it. My family is crazy, incredibly dysfunctional. My brother came to live with me when he was 17. He tells me that that was the best year of his life. And he credits me with helping him understand that you can actually have a stable home life. My father and stepmother abused me in subtle ways. My mother and stepfather abused me in subtle ways. I would say that my mother and my father were the worst. And more negligence and emotional abuse than anything else. No physical abuse, no sexual abuse, just messing with the head. So, y'all have a good evening, and I hope to talk to you soon. And yeah, I'm not shaving. I'm doing the whole Movember thing. Girlfriend likes it. Talk to you later.